Welcome to the 3Haunted podcast, where we bring you all things horror, supernatural, folklore, mythology, and all things that go bump in the night.
What's up, everybody? This is your co-host, Ashley Lunar Goddess, Gorilla Girl filmmaker and horror-loving cinephile. I'm just your average podcast-producing badass.
I'm John Thomas. Some would say that I go a little too far with my love of all things horror, paranormal, and meta, but I say, talk nerdy to me, and I'm all yours.
What's up, ghouls, gals, and all of our creepy pals out there? In today's episode, we have special returning guest Bodhi Werner to talk about the release of his book, Northport 1999, as well as Creepypasta Urban Legends. That's right, you knew we were going to be getting to the creepypasta at some point. And here we are. Welcome back, Bodhi.
Hey, happy to be here.
Yay, Bodhi.
Woo woo.
Woo, welcome.
Let's make some creepypasta.
Yeah, it tastes like chicken.
Does it?
They're only noodles,
No.
Michael.
I love you.
I love you.
Any person that will make a Lost Boys reference automatically has my heart. So
That's the first thing I thought of when I thought of creepypasta. I was like,
You
They're
just got a
noodles,
little bit of
Michael.
brown on your nose there, my friend.
or is that pizza love? All
it
right,
was
so
probably
let me
pizza. Apologies.
pizza
no,
love.
I was being a smart
Okay.
ass saying you were sucking ass.
Oh yeah, that too, for sure, all the time.
What about for the podcast? You got any haters on the 300 podcast comment sections, or it seems like it's mostly
I'm like, do we
nice
even
from what I
have
see
any
on TikTok?
people that like comment? Like,
We got a 1-star rating
oh yeah, that's
on
right.
the
we
Apple
did.
podcast.
Oh my
We did.
goodness!
Uh-oh.
I'm gonna find that motherfucker.
What a low life!
Part of me was like, okay, is this personal? Like you don't like one of us? Or is it like the topic just didn't vibe with you? Because or maybe it was the Holy Balls episode. I imagine that offended a lot of people.
I'm surprised.
I
I'm
don't
surprised
know.
if it didn't offend a lot of people.
It didn't. So you don't know what episode it was?
No,
referring
it
to?
was just a random
Mm-mm.
1-star.
Just so random. And they
How
didn't
long
leave a
ago was
review.
this?
It was just
Nothing,
1
yeah.
star.
Mm.
When was this?
I don't remember.
Yeah,
That's crazy.
it's so funny because when I saw it, I was like, "Huh, I wonder if one of my coworkers did this." But I was like, "No, nobody listens to my podcast. Nobody listens to it." I found out that yes, actually, the one person that doesn't like me actually listens to the podcast, loves the podcast, and her mom listens to it too, and is actually ahead of her in listening to the
They
season.
just hate you.
They just don't like me, which is fine. Love the cast, hate me, don't care.
Okay.
Interesting. That speaks volumes, though,
Yes.
right? It outweighs,
Yes.
like their hate for you is outweighed.
Yes,
Separate the artist from the art.
exactly.
Hey, whatever happens.
Yeah, well, if you're not getting at least one
Right.
1-star rating, you're
Right.
not doing it right.
Exactly.
You gotta ruffle some feathers. You gotta, disappoint some parents.
I already did that.
Oh, I do that all the time.
You gotta have some close friends ashamed of you after each thing that you put out, or you're not stretching, right? Frankly, come on.
He's got a
Yeah,
point.
so that's where I'm going with life. Is
Yeah.
like, what's the worst that can happen? No pants?
No
Why not?
pants.
Because you might get more followers because of the no pants, even though you maybe, pissed off a few. With,
I fail with my pants on all the time. Why not try
Without
and
it.
maybe fail with my pants off?
That's a nice philosophy. I like it.
Full disclosure, in high school, I came in second in the sexiest leg competition, and I took my pants off. It was kind of a enjoyable situation.
Well, now we got to see them.
Oh no!
You got to get up on
No.
that office chair and show us your legs.
I am retired.
so we have currently on Apple 4.6 out of 5 because of, I think, that 1-star rating.
Yeah, because we did have a
Wow.
1 or a 5. I mean, yeah.
So all my friends that are listening, if you could just go over to that star rating and give us your top notch, that'd be great. And if you give me a 1, well, at least you're thinking of me.
True. We'll find you.
I will find you.
The wedding crashes.
Just kidding.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so we're here talking about creepypasta. Does anybody know what creepypasta means?
Well, when you brought it up recently, I looked it up because I didn't. And so I learned the word portmanteau. You actually put that, you sent me the definition because I didn't know what it was. So I asked and you sent it. So it's a mixture of two words. One being one that I also didn't know, copy pasta, and creepy stories. So creepypasta. And so in short, it's like the internet's version of scary stories around a fire pit, around the campfire, rather, that lots of people share and join in on.
Yeah, and copy pasta, it's a block of text copied and pasted all over the internet and social media. So basically stuff that goes viral. And it happens to be creepypasta is the copy and pasted text of creepy, spooky stories. Urban legends, my friends.
But they're all
Right.
true. They happened to a friend of my sister, of my brother, of my cousin, and that dude.
And that dude.
Yeah, that dude that
Well,
lives
that's how you
behind
know
the
it's
Walmart.
Your father's, what is it, former roommate, Spaceballs, right?
Yeah.
And so the creepypasta, so the term was actually coined on 4chan, which I've brought up in previous episodes because I have found some of the most fucked up paranormal games on 4chan.
Yes, she had.
And and that's also where creepypasta was born. So
Isn't that also where like QAnon was born and a lot of the craziest
4chan?
things of the internet? Yeah.
I wouldn't put it past it.
I don't know, honestly.
Google.
Yeah. Okay. Well,
Yes, I do think anonymous and alt-right. They got a little bit. That's because 4chan really isn't regulated. It's the English version of its Japanese correspondent. It has a corresponding site in Japan, like a sister site. And so it's not here in the English version is not very regulated. So that's where interesting groups can be born.
yeah, I know very little about it. I find this fascinating. But yeah, something that a lot of people will probably have experienced. They might not have experienced these strange chat rooms and websites, but copypasta, if you think about it, had originated with like email chains. We all have had those, especially back in the day. Send this email to 5 of your friends, or you'll get bad luck.
Yeah, that's why I'm still single.
That damn chain you didn't
Fucking
forward in
didn't do it.
2003.
I was one friend
Dang
off.
it.
Yep.
Yep. Damn it.
Yeah, well, that probably explains a few things about my situation too. So you never know.
Because it sucks. It's like, what if you only have 3 friends? Like,
Can you send it to
you
him
can't
twice?
send it
Like
to
what?
more.
Who knows?
It's like, oh.
Yeah.
It's like,
We
oh,
just
no.
start making up names like Brandon at AOL.com, Chad at AOL.com, and like so forth. Keep going.
What are the other ones? AOL. What's a really old one?
Yahoo.
Hot for chick at aim.com.
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, those are the days.
Hotmail.
Hotmail.
Yep.
Yep.
Is it CenturyLink? Is that another?
CenturyLink. Yeah, that was one of those.
Netcast.
Yep.
Netscape.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a deep cut.
All those free.
There was Lycos.
Yep. Those free
Remember
DVD
Lycos?
CDs or whatever. Yep.
There was Toast.
Toast.
Whipped.
I like toast.
Whipped toast. I don't know. I'm just putting words together.
Thought we were just saying random
Like
words.
black toast.
Yeah. It's a place. These creepypasta stories and the sort of communities that grow up around them is really fascinating, and how it's kind of shared mythology. These group storytellings. Like, are you guys familiar with the SCP Foundation, the fictional secret organization?
No.
So it's this collective writing website project. SCP stands for Secure, Contain, Protect. And it's these series of monsters and locations, and it's got you can just go down all the rabbit holes and all these strange creatures and entities, and like they're all named, they all have the designation SCP followed by numbers. So SCP-108 is a Nazi bunker system that is accessible only through a portal found in a woman's nose. And
Makes
SCP
sense.
3008 is an IKEA store with an interior that contains a seemingly infinite labyrinthine pocket dimension. Prospective customers trapped within the endless building have formed rudimentary civilizations from furniture, shelving, and other resources. So it's just like
I
all
have,
these
yeah, heard of
strange.
this.
Some people, have you heard of? I'm trying to look at the. Oh yeah, SCP-096. That's the one that got me into it. It's this creature, humanoid creature called the Shy Guy, that becomes extremely aggressive and pursues anyone who views its face.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
only once SCP-096 face has been seen, then it sort of activates and it's going to relentlessly pursue you until it gets you, no matter where you go. And
What happens when it gets me?
it's not going to be good. It's certain death.
Oh,
Yes.
I was gonna say BJ
And
likes it rough.
You would know.
John,
He told me.
so yeah, I got a question. Did you find any stories that you went through this rabbit hole that you were like, wow, like I hope this is not real, but it ended up being like a true story? Was there anything like that you found?
oh yeah, for sure. Two answers on that one. Oh, I have to look at the Wikipedia for the second one, but the first one I have right off the top of my head, which is the Slender Man. And on your question, like, did I hope it wasn't real? Well, the Slender Man is kind of this like catch-all sort of monster, slender guy, amorphous character. I suppose you could imagine it would be any creepy guy you might find out in the woods. But like where it really took a turn is after this story started to take a life of its own on the internet, and a lot of people were talking about it and sharing it, and then it got really popular with like the young generation, and these kids basically stabbed one of their friends to death as a way of proving all the skeptics wrong. Yeah, creepypasta relating to the Slender Man came to public attention in 2014 during the Slender Man stabbings. A 12-year-old girl was stabbed by her two friends who claimed they wanted to prove the Slender Man skeptics wrong. And so I thought that's kind of the perfect answer to that question. But the other one, Jeff the Killer, is a popular creepypasta story about a guy who's bullied and, fights back against his bullies, harms them gravely, and then realizes he likes hurting people, and ultimately ends up killing his family, his sister, his brother, and parents while whispering in their ear, "Go to sleep." And that becomes his MO, and now he goes around becoming a serial killer, killing people and whispering, "Go to sleep," as he kills them. And I thought, wow, what a real sounding story. You never know.
And I mean, a lot of these, all of these creepypastas are things people just put out there. They typed out onto the internet. And so it's hard to suss out unless there is a news article out there that any of them are, whether they're real or not. And I think that's what's scary about them, is that you don't know what's real or what someone has contrived. And so that's part of the thrill of the campfire tale, right? Like, you don't know what's actually real or what is something someone's making up on the spot. The first creepypasta that they feel probably was a creepypasta documented was the one of Ted the Caver. Did you guys read about that?
Yeah.
Okay, so Ted the Caver, he was published on Angel Fire website. So I don't know if you guys remember that. That's taken it way back to 2001. And he presented it like an online diary. of a man who is excavating and exploring cave tunnels with his friends that haven't been explored. And each time he would do a post, he'd be describing the passages that they're unearthing more each day. And the entries were becoming increasingly unsettling. So, it started off kind of innocent, and then over time was becoming scarier and scarier. And it was something that was shared on the internet across like message boards, and people were arguing over whether if it was real or not. Is this authentic? And a lot of people thought it was true just because of how descriptive the writer was. The technical details that they were putting into it was like, man, this is too technical. Anyone that's ever been caving knows that like this is how it is. So it wasn't until several years afterwards that the author actually revealed himself. His name was Ted Hegeman. And he's like, I'm Ted the Caver. And he said it was based on his real caving experiences, but that he had added a lot of embellishments, the paranormal, the other stuff that he had started kind of revealing throughout it. So he took his real life experiences, like any author does, and put in some paranormal to keep people on the edge of their seats, which to me, it's brilliant. Like if he had done that now, he'd probably have quite a monetary gain.
Yeah, I mean, and somebody went on to make it into an independent film, and did the festival circuit and got sold to distributors. It looks like so. That's one of the things I've noticed is a lot of people jump on these stories, and some of them do end up turning it into money. And I think it's these ones that are open to speculation, like this could totally be real, that capture the most sort of people's imagination. And
I think that's something that's important too, is the popularity of certain stories, right? That's how some of them not necessarily turn into movies, but they get traction, like the Slender Man, right? They get traction, and then people start believing in them, and then there's this, are you creating something from your mind that's fiction based, and now it's actually a real issue that people are going to have to deal with because they created it, not necessarily with their, like, maybe with their minds, but also actions that have some kind of connection to it, right, to make it real. And I think that can be dangerous, right? I mean, it's depends on the story and what's going on, but maybe that's why people are drawn to it, because there is a element of like, what is it real, is it not real, do we have a part in it?
yeah, and I think what's crazy is that the way the world changed once the internet became so ubiquitous, and like the Slender Man thing started with a Photoshop competition in 2009, something awful Photoshop competition. And so this character was created in an image. And then um, people take it in whatever direction. Because once you put something out there, people are free to use it and run with it. And that's all of these, in one way or another, are a result of that. People see something and they get inspired or whatever, and they take it and run. And then some people run, into a murderous direction, unfortunately.
Has there been a story, I mean, I haven't done the research, but from this where it triggered something, where besides the Slender Man, that actually had some negative repercussions of from it, that you guys have you heard of anything?
I mean, so 2chan, which is the Japanese version of this website, and the original has, I mean, if you look at that, like 4chan's more, it's I say newer loosely based in the scheme of, when they were from their inception, but 2chan has a lot more of the horror stories of the creepypasta. We definitely see it on the 4chan, the English version. But honestly, I would say there's too many creepypastas. If you think about it, it's just an unmonitored website that people can constantly upload these stories and these images, because there's images related to some of these stories are hinged on, like Jeff the Killer, or like Momo, whatever that thing was a few years ago, or like there was like the smile dog, stuff like that that are very reliant on a picture. And so that's just constantly being updated and uploaded. So to be able to say that any of them have inspired something, it would be hard to say, I think, because there's just too many to track. And I would have to think that copycats exist everywhere. So probably some of these may or may not have inspired something, but I guarantee Grand Theft Auto has also inspired some criminal activity. So, like, who knows?
Right. And this whole Momo thing, I kind of missed that. I only read a little bit about it. So it's like this very strange character that was showing up in like weird
Kids videos.
kids videos. Yeah. Oh man.
That thing scared the shit out of me. I'm not going to lie. That was creepy. I could not look at the picture.
I don't know about this.
You don't know?
So it's
So
like
Google Momo.
Yeah, Google.
yeah, just
Google
Google
that. Tell me
Momo.
you're not going to have nightmares
Google
tonight.
Momo.
And for those who haven't seen it, it's like a woman that looks straight out of like Beetlejuice, Tim Burton's
Yes,
mind.
thank you. It was like straight up Beetlejuice.
Oh
With
God.
Shelley Duvall's face.
Yeah,
Yeah.
she
Yeah.
So he just
I
found
mean,
Momo.
I'd take her out for dinner.
And never return.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, probably.
Wow, that's
Momo just like shows up. So the thing that listeners need to know is like YouTube would just play videos automatically. So when a kid gets to the end of whatever video they're watching, an unboxing of a toy or something, sometimes these are toddlers, by the way. So they're not scrolling. They just press a brightly colored thumbnail and the video plays, and then automatically the next one plays, and they're, the child's version of doom scrolling. And then all of a sudden a new video pops up with this terrifying looking woman in it, traumatizing them for the rest of their life, maybe. Or maybe setting them on the course to make a awesome horror podcast one day. You never know.
So the TV show Evil, I don't know if you've heard of it, but basically they cover a lot of different things. They cover possession, they cover all the things. And that was kind of one of the things that they covered as well but it was VR. So it was through VR and a game. They're like, oh yeah, it's a kid's game. But then this VR entity would show up as a little girl, and you think it's part of the game, but actually it's this, either it's somebody that's trying to harm them, or it's some kind of weird like ghost thing that's entering this game as part of the VR, which I thought was pretty interesting and kind of weird, right? But that's kind of where everything's going, right? Like if we're gonna have these ghost stories and all these things, it's not gonna be, it gets updated with our technology, right? And I thought that was pretty interesting. Like I think we're gonna see a lot more of these creepypasta stuff in regards to like VR, PlayStation VR, whatever VR, right? When it becomes more popular, and I think that's very interesting.
So, yes, we're going to touch on that because that actually goes into Bodhi's world. But first, just so you know, with Momo, a lot of that that I think is the perfect example of urban legend, because what people were saying Momo isn't actually what the reality of what it was. Momo was actually this like sculpture created by this, I think it was a Japanese artist that someone took and then started putting into into kids' YouTube videos, kind of like a troll. Trolls were inserting it into kids' YouTube videos to scare them.
Yeah.
And so, because people were like, oh no, they're trying to get kids to hurt themselves or do something bad. And it was really, those were trolls putting those videos out there. And there weren't that many, to be honest. Trolls putting those videos out there because there was a Momo challenge that was occurring where teens were supposedly being asked to text a WhatsApp number and being given challenges to do that would get more dangerous as they did the challenges. Again, that was also kind of loose because it was hard to track those, like how often that was happening. So to me, I think it was like maybe a 1 or 2 off scenario that just spiraled. Like in terms of, oh, I heard so-and-so played this game and they died. And it's like, it went from there. So that's kind of, I think, a perfect example of what happens when these things go viral is it's hard to like really parse out where the truth is, because in that case, there wasn't much truth in what was being said. In like, ooh, I heard this. And it's like, that's really not actually what's going on. It is good to monitor your children's YouTube and what they're watching. Absolutely.
Absolutely.
But they were trying to say every video has been compromised, and it was really only a few because some trolls got a hold of this notion and thought it would be funny to scare some
Yeah, it
kids.
was like a literal handful, like 4 or 5 probably. I don't know the exact amount, but it wasn't a lot at all.
Yes. And now back to what you were saying about the VR and creepypasta. That is becoming a thing because you have a new type of world being created that Bodhi is learning to design and implement out into the world as well. Bodhi, would you like to share that?
Sure, yeah. Well, so me personally, I'm trying to use a video game engine to make movies, and specifically Unreal Engine. And it's this free set of software tools, which is just amazing. And I've gone down the rabbit hole, and recently I went into the creepypasta realm, and I made some liminal spaces in Unreal Engine. And I'd say kind of the most popular sort of creepypasta thing in a long time is the internet aesthetic known as liminal spaces. And for those who aren't familiar, liminal more broadly just means like a transitional space, like a hallway or a lobby, or a transitional moment in life, like puberty. Puberty. Let me say that word
Puberty?
again.
He can't say it.
Puberty. I think I went through
Puberty.
puberty for a second there. My goodness. Feel like I was naked in front of the class. Nightmare.
Like your recent video.
Yeah, that was much more fun than my naked in front of the high school nightmares. Anyway, so nightmares, speaking of nightmares, liminal spaces are kind of the domain of the dream world, right? I think a lot of people share this in their maybe reoccurring dreams. They go to a place, maybe with big open rooms, or it's empty. It's eerily empty. For me, I had a liminal space. I would open a door in my house, which would normally take me to a closet in real life, but when I opened it, it would take me to this indoor playground. And it dawns on me that that's kind of the liminal space vibe. These big rooms that feel like they should be teeming with people and activity, but really they're still and empty and strange. So I've been kind of experimenting with that, and I've been heavily inspired by the back rooms. Are you guys familiar with the back rooms?
Yes.
John and BJ are very familiar with that.
Yeah, I've just been going down that rabbit hole. When did you guys learn about the back rooms?
I don't. I don't know.
I was making a
you're
naughty
talking about. She was
joke.
making a
But
joke.
I have heard.
Okay.
It was about butt things.
Hey, no, that's not what it was about.
was
Thank
just,
you, but I'm glad your mind went there.
Okay, so you like the
You've
back
never heard of
rooms in
backroom
the
deals
club.
and like backroom, exactly, backrooms where people do naughty things.
Oh, well, that too.
Okay, back on track. Backrooms.
Yes, I've heard of them.
Yes.
I've watched YouTube videos on a bunch of that stuff, basically.
I haven't, but go ahead.
Yeah. Okay. Well, good. So backrooms started out. It might have even started on this same forum website we're talking about, but it gained popularity on Reddit. Somebody put up a picture basically of this like eerie looking office space, yellow tinged wallpaper and fluorescent ceiling lights, and it's just this big open space that looks empty, and it just doesn't feel right. And people were talking about that kind of feeling that it evoked, and it started this whole, I guess, creepypasta, what we're talking about, where people take it and run and start filling it in and talking about it and sharing it. And pretty soon this subreddit gained a lot of traction, a lot of followers, and people were talking about the lore. This is this place that exists outside of our reality where you have to no clip out of reality into the back rooms. No clip is like a term from video games and game development and computer stuff, basically where you can walk through walls the back rooms is this sort of alternate reality where millions and millions of square feet of strange empty office space, and it's all smells mildewy, and there's the constant hum of the fluorescent lights overhead, and you know, God help you if you hear something down there with you nearby, because it most certainly has already heard you, and you're toast. Basically,
I
That
love it. That's so creepy.
that reminds me of the game Control.
yeah,
Yeah, there's a lot of that kind of vibe with what, at least the visuals that I'm thinking of with that kind of stuff. And I guess my question would be, when you're creating these spaces, what do people use them for? Like, what is it? And you're creating them, right? And they're out there, but what are people doing with that space?
yeah. Well, me personally, I'm kind of using it as like a learning exercise to make environments and stuff for my filmmaking. But I would say the most popular piece out there in this internet aesthetic, the backrooms, found footage. That's the name of the YouTube video, and that's the thing that most people credit with popularizing this fictional concept. Some say is not fictional. I don't know. Not for me to decide. Anyways, this guy named Kane Pixels, who was 16 at the time, that's his YouTube channel. His name is Kane something. Sorry, dude, for not knowing your name. He made a video and it's gotten like 65 million views. And it's basically like a short found footage horror film made to look like it was shot from like an 80s or early 90s handheld camcorder, just walking around this space. And like I said, he no clipped into this environment. He like by accident fell through reality and ended up in this alternate world. And then he's just exploring it, I think. And then as he made more of the short films, it was sort of this story of like these guys the government doing experiments on this strange place that they access through a portal. So to answer your question, it's really just like very very sparse storytelling short films, and then the world just kind of fills in with their imagination. And there are some hints at some monsters and creatures. I don't know, John. You're nodding your head. You've seen it?
Yeah,
What do you think?
yeah. There's definitely hints of monsters. I think they've even showed one or two, um, briefly, like down the hallway or something. Because the guy's walking down the hallway and he hears a noise and he's like, "No, I don't want to go down that way." And then turns around and I think it's like actually down the other hallway and something like that. But it's trippy. You guys got to check them out. They're actually pretty creepy.
Yeah,
Well, and like the liminal spaces, that's oftentimes those are, like you said, they're the empty rooms. Like a lot of people talk about the hallways and the lobbies and these in between spaces. And so, what I was reading up on when I was reading these is that a lot of people are concerned that by going into these liminal spaces, especially the ones that are considered like these transition spaces, it's like being at a crossroads. So you're in between worlds. So if we start talking about like the spooky, right, and the metaphysical and the paranormal and those that believe in that aspect, that would be why these liminal spaces can be scary. Now, if you're more on the metaphysical end or you're trying to be in between worlds, one might say that those liminal spaces are where the veil exists, right? Like where it thins and it thickens. And you rarely hear that the veil is thickening, but it's those in between spaces. And so I feel like a lot of room for that to be played with when it comes to creepypasta and beyond.
yeah,
I
absolutely.
wonder. So, are these visuals? These are visual things that you can just? Is it like you would look at it on your computer screen, or is it like some of it strictly VR?
Yeah, good question. Well, I mean, of course the YouTube videos are what got super popularized, and then there are plenty of video games, including a lot of people mention Control, and then there's Subliminal, and then there's a few other ones. But yeah, I mean, that's, I guess, what is the point of creepypasta? Getting to your question a little bit in a kind of broader sense, like how do people interact with it? What's the point? And I guess maybe it's different for every person, and it just sort of is a collection of work, not necessarily owned by anybody, or is it? I mean, who owns the IP? I know the guy who made this YouTube video I've been talking about, he's going to their A24 is going to produce a film that he's going to direct.
Wow.
Yeah, so it can turn into like really big productions and ostensibly money, but they're just sort of communities of people telling stories and exploring and imagining. What's really interesting, Ashley was saying about perhaps like people who are mediums or psychics, could go to these sort of overlooked places, lobbies, hallways, and find that they're more susceptible to connecting to the other worlds, and I think we see it in horror movies, and I'm rewatching X-Files right now.
Yeah.
One of my favorites, of course. And,
yeah.
We all, anybody's watched X-Files, when you're in like a parking garage, like, mystery, vulnerability, there's a vibe, and so that feeling, I think they established it really well, and I think people have just always had that, and this is just a manifestation of it.
This is something that's really intriguing to me, because I, before today, didn't know really anything about the creepypasta or any of it. And I think what's intriguing is not only the stories, but it's not regulated necessarily, but also you guys are talking about all these spaces, and my mind goes to the dream world, right? Like I love dreams and talking about dreams, but like having a VR unit on, going into one of these spaces, falling asleep while you're in the space, and seeing what
Oh,
happens.
wow.
Like that for me. Whoo! That sounds like so much fun, because then
Have
you
fun.
wake
I'll
up,
never see
Yeah,
are
you
you
that's
still
asking
in
again.
for
that
trouble.
place?
Yeah.
I mean,
Where do you
right?
go?
But it's
That's like Inception stuff. Yeah. Like,
where do you
wow.
go?
Falling asleep in a dream.
Yeah.
I've done that.
Right, falling asleep in whatever, in a world that's not yours, that and I don't know. I think that's pretty. It could cause the mind to go to all these different places. It'd be interesting to
Yeah,
experiment with,
it's
I
worth a
think.
try. And I think the thing about these liminal spaces that's really interesting, that kind of diverges from the Slender Man stuff and the other things we've been talking about, is a lot of times it's not overtly horror. It's like inviting, and that's kind of what's can be the most haunting about it. Is it just isn't quite right, because it's like these are malls or big lobbies or big office buildings, but they're empty and it's eerie, but maybe the sounds and the vibe kind of pulls you in, and the story is very loose. There's not a lot going on necessarily. We're just kind of wandering the space, and so it kind of tells you to come in, but you're kind of afraid that if you do, will you ever be able to come back out?
The thing I find interesting is that liminal space is also a term used in like the psychological world. A liminal space is like the transition between where you've been and where you're going, whether it means physically, emotionally, metaphorically. You're like on a precipice of something new, but you're not quite there yet. So the idea that you've got this being used like in multiple arenas is interesting. Now, with that said, like with 2chan and 4chan, which is where the creepypastas originally resided, they had their own subboard. It wasn't like that's the entire website. So it's just a section of it. Same with now Creepypasta has its own subreddit on Reddit. It's got its own board there now too. It's expanding. Now, here's the thing, and I know you kind of hinted at this at the beginning, BJ, is that is there a danger that lies in there? Because a lot of these are fun, ooh, spooky campfire stories, and yay, we're all gonna scare each other. But some of these, there is like a subsection of the creepypasta that exists in rituals and rites and paranormal games to summon demons, to invite in entities and summon different things and play games with these things. And it's like, ooh, now that does get a little dangerous, because if you believe in it and all it takes is a little belief, maybe, surprise, motherfucker, we got a demon in our house. And so I don't know. I mean, there is an aspect of danger in there if you believe in that world. And a lot of the ones that I've shared on paranormal games, I've gotten from 2chan and 4chan. They pop up because you type in paranormal games, and a lot of that redirects over to them. And that's interesting. But if you notice, a lot of the ones that we have talked about do take place in liminal spaces. Racing a demon down the hallway.
Yeah.
We're in a hallway. Why we couldn't race him outside on a blacktop? It has to be in a hallway.
Yep.
It has to be in a liminal space. Closets.
Elevators.
Stuff where it's, elevators transitioning you up and down. Like, there are a lot of them. And this is probably something to consider, do exist in the liminal spaces.
You know what freaks me out the most? Empty hospitals.
That's because you've played too many video games.
Freaking freaky
Silent
as hell.
Hill.
Man. Silent Hill.
I love Silent Hill. Pyramid Head, baby.
So if you can go into these spaces with a VR unit, let's say, and you play, you're on a Ouija board in that space, will you be will something show up in that digital world, that realm, or will it tap you on the shoulder in your home and have you come out of
Only
What are you
one way
trying
to
to
find
find
Say,
out?
that sounds like a challenge for you, Mr. BJ. I have a Ouija board. You can use it.
Sounds like 3Haunted Podcast is going to start investigating.
Minus Ash is like, I will not touch
Ashley's
it.
like,
And I
nope,
respect
nope,
that.
nope.
I respect her not wanting to touch one.
No, here's the thing. You're conscious, though, in the VR
Exactly.
world, right? You're still conscious. So whatever you're doing in that world, you're still doing in your present world. You've just merged. You're merged between two worlds. So you might be invoking it, and it might be even more powerful because you're in two different worlds. So you might be invoking it into both places.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm like super curious about, because I love Black Mirror and the stories that they come up with, and just that idea of technology and fear, and just the horror aspect of it, marriage with sci-fi. I'm big into both, and I think that there's so much content there, that and stories and question things that I've just came up with today, something like that, that's intriguing,
Yeah.
just to see what, I mean, I don't know if I would try it.
No, you should.
We're going to need a safe word in case you do become possessed by a demon. That way we know you actually are.
And the safe word is candy.
That's-
Festive
that's
rod.
fine. Festive rod.
Don't you want to put on a VR and then have weird shit happen in
No.
there that's not supposed to happen?
No.
No,
I don't
weird
know.
shit happens here enough.
Okay, so I have a question for you guys. If you were to write a creepypasta, what subgenre would you create a creepypasta about? Because it could be anything: monsters, demons, making up a paranormal game, urban legend, serial killer, you name it.
Torture.
Yeah, so
Oh, jeez.
Wikipedia says the subgenres of creepypasta. Of course, this is just Wikipedia. There, you can make up your own. Lost episode creepypasta, which describes a supposed television episodes, typically kids shows, that were never aired or removed due to their violent
Ooh.
and grotesque content.
Kind of like the beginning of Nope.
I like that, because you're using a world that already
right.
exists and having fun with it.
I like that.
Like if
That was
Barney
that
had
way.
a violent rampage and ate all of the
Yes.
kids in the audience. So then another subgenre is video games. So again, containing grotesque or violent content that spill over into the real world. So the players, then just like BJ's talking about, going into VR, something strange happens and it comes out of the VR. So you guys are already writing your own subgenre creepypastas. I guess, is that what you call a unit of creepypasta? Is that what we... It just is a creepypasta. A noodle.
A noodle.
Spooky
A noodle. All right, so what noodle would you
Noodle.
write? They're only noodles, Michael.
Well, so we got psychotic. Let's do the other three. We got psychotic killers. These creepypastas tell of people, usually a teenager, becoming a psychopath or killer. So the one that I talked about earlier, the guy who decided to start killing his bullies, Jeff the Killer.
Yes,
Jeff the Killer.
Then we got supernatural monsters. These creepypastas involve either supernatural beings or actual legendary, mythical, or folkloric monsters. That sounds right up, the 3Haunted podcast alley. You guys got lots of lore to pull from. And then we got the final one, rites and rituals, like she said, typically contain instructions on how to perform various entity summoning rituals. Ooh.
But my thing is if you're
Wow.
writing one for summoning stuff, aren't you technically kind of just putting that out there in the universe and creating one? So would something actually happen if you put enough belief
All it takes
and
is
stuff?
belief.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Because like we discussed with the craft, they had ones on there, that they were doing, and they actually had a Wiccan on there to make sure that nothing went wrong, even though they had weird shit happen. But yeah.
You can't have someone go out there and make sure nothing goes wrong, though.
No.
Like, even with all four of us, we could be saying one line, like, I allow you in. And all four of us could say it. And one of us, all it takes is one to get possessed. And I can't be like, well, guys, I'm here to oversee that none of it like, you're all protected. I'm not a superhero. I don't have that ability to envelop everybody in this bubble. Like, if you believe, and that's where okay, let's just go down the weird hole for just a moment. There's a lot of people out there that believe themselves to be, I am a guide, I am a light, I am a protector, I will make sure nothing bad happens to you. But for me, when it comes especially to the metaphysical world, it's all internal. It comes from the inside out. So if you let something in, it's not like I let you in from the external. For me, I feel like it's a tunnel inside of you that you opened and let in. So that's just me.
No,
Well, then that means it's within all of us all the time already, right?
That potential connection, yeah, I think so. I think we're all part of this little energetic matrix, for lack of a better word. And if you allow your matrix to be connected to something that's looking for it, then hello.
It sounds fun.
Yeah, what's your matrix looking for?
With that said, speaking of which, if I were to create a creepypasta, I would do a ritual, but not to summon, but to create.
Like, what are you creating? What are you trying to create?
Manifestation of external manifestation of whatever it is you're trying to create. So it could be kind of like we talked about before with that one closet game where like you can change your world. Something like that, a ritual where you can change your external in some way.
So, DuckTales.
Ooh.
we talked about this in a previous podcast about if you could create another world or go to another reality, what would it be and what would you do and all these things. And for me, it's DuckTales. Like that would be the creepypasta I would go into and create a way to get in.
Oh.
I'm actually surprised he remembers that.
Oh, I remember. I had a couple.
A couple. We're
sure.
like
A
30
couple.
sheets to the wind.
Yeah, man.
For
all of us.
Right? Like, but to make it like scary, maybe, there's like Gizmo Duck that's gone wrong. Like, AI's taken over Gizmo Duck and he's after you. And now you got to try to save the world.
Or you just don't know with that manifestation if it's going to be exactly as you're anticipating or a mirror version of it or a different dimension level of it. Like you just don't know. And that's the element of spooky.
Yeah.
Or like a ritual to summon a vampire. To create a vampire. Oh.
Is that how vampires started then?
Maybe.
Or is that how they get rebooted?
Rebooted. I would like to manifest good vampire movies again.
Nope. We got more shiny ones for you. I'm sorry. More.
How
Yeah.
dare you, sir?
What about you, Bodhi? What would you do? What would you
Yeah.
write?
Well, I'd just continue with this liminal space that I'm making. I put out a little short film on my YouTube. It's the liminal forest, which is basically this big open space with fluorescent fluorescent lights and ceiling tiles. It's like a superstore, but it's got a forest in it, and there's some bad stuff happening in there, and people are going in to investigate. And who knows what's in the trees? What are these strange sounds emanating from the liminal forest?
That's a question I had. Music. Oh. So in these spaces, obviously, it sounds like you have a storyline in there, but I'm sure there are a lot of these spaces that just have your eerie music, right? And I think that could add to it, you know.
Yeah, it's kind of like there's a whole genre of liminal music, and there's
Mm,
some songs that are most associated with it. How I would describe them is like melancholic, kind of like like when you're a Ferris wheel. What does a Ferris wheel sound like? Or what does a carnival sound like? But like in the distance and like echoing and soft and muffled. I don't know, like mall elevator music, but like echoing far away. That's kind of what the liminal music sounds like. Lo-fi, kind of sad,
right.
kind of happy at the same time.
I feel like what are they? I never say it right. Binaural beats. I feel like those are liminal space. How the fuck do you say that?
Binaural? I don't.
Yeah.
Binaural. How do you spell it?
Y'all haven't heard of those?
Uh-uh.
It's BINAURAL. Binaural
Oh,
beats.
I got you. Binaural.
Yeah.
Binaural beats.
Oh,
It's for
like
like
That's how I say it.
yeah,
they do it for sleep stuff.
It's not just sleep, like, and this
Right.
is also okay. So anybody that knows me knows I do not like to put myself under any kind of suggestive anything. And so these beats, they became popular, really started to pick up speed the past few years, but I think they really came onto the scene about, I don't know, 5, 6 years ago. And it's this idea that these music beats are set to specific frequencies to impact you. And it doesn't, like, I can't even say it's for sleep because it depends what you're trying to fix. They have binaural
Mhm.
beats for focus, for depression, for grief, for, like anything. Like you have cancer, listen to this song.
yeah,
Like it's this idea that you can set these beats to this frequency level and it's going to hit that frequency within you to kind of realign you. Now, I again don't listen to those because I get weird about like subliminal,
uh huh,
um,
Mm,
because you're
yep.
supposed to, when you listen to binaural beats, you're supposed to put headphones on and you're supposed to listen to it without any noise. You're supposed to meditate with it. You're supposed to really absorb it in. And for me, I'm like, so you want me to put myself into a suggestive state and just go with the flow? Like,
right,
I'm too paranoid for that.
yeah. It sounds a little snake oily just to read it, but I haven't
Mhm.
listened to them myself. It's binaural recording is a method of recording sound that uses two microphones arranged with the intent to create a 3D stereo sound sensation, like you're actually in the room of the performance of the instrument. So it's just like a expansion on stereo recording, taking that to the next level. But it does seem like there's this whole binaural beats as therapy. Some people have found positive effects for pain alleviation, anxiety reduction, and memory, but it might
Oh
cause
yeah.
sex with demons.
I mean, I'm
You
down
know.
with that. If Google that one, binaural beats for sex with demons. But here's my thing, each one of them's supposed to, like, and I get it because music you can set at different frequencies and different waves, and so they are doing that because there's idea that like different emotional states are within those frequencies, so you're trying to get people to go up
Mm-hmm.
to that
Mm,
frequency and out of wherever they're currently at. I get the idea behind it, but I also am someone I'm very sound sensitive, and a lot of the binaural beats use would you call it a backbeat, low beats, undertone beats? I don't know. I'm not a music person, but they use these layers of sounds that
Hmm.
actually increase my anxiety.
Mm.
So when I listen to a lot of, like, even if I try to put it on just to see what is the difference between the different beats and what they're saying they're going to help with, I can't keep it on for long because my anxiety actually goes up because of some of the sounds that they're using
Hmm.
actually trigger my anxiety versus calm.
There's got to be a psychological experiment somewhere that somebody's done on this, because that sounds very interesting. I did one when I went to see you. It was an audio one where like I'd go in this room and they'd put headphones on me and I'd listen to a baby cry for like 5-10 minutes, and then I'd listen to somebody drilling like for like into like for in your teeth, and then they're like asking you questions. Which one would you rather keep listening to, right? It's very simple, but it, I think this kind of thing that we're talking about is kind of an updated version of that. Things that can cause anxiety, things that can alleviate pain. I think that sound therapy and all of that stuff is very intriguing, and I think it's cool. And I mean, this is like way out there, and I don't know why my mind even went there, but like aliens, right? A lot of things that I've read about aliens and technology, sound waves, sound, all of the, there's I think there's a lot of power in music and audio that people just, that we haven't maybe connected to fully. And this might be one of those things that um, in a way affects us more than we anticipate. And it could be a technology that, that does help people.
I mean, there are binaural beats for alien contact, so go ahead and Google that. You could probably beat one tonight. But in all reality, we're talking about audible sound. These are all
Yes.
reliant on audible sound, and the human ear can only hear such a small range of frequencies. So,
Yes.
and I hate to break it to all of us in this call, most of us can't hear what we used to be able to hear, anyways. And so,
I'm 21, so
sure, darling. Um, and they have it.
Oh,
Like, you go to a lot of the science museums, they actually have the headphones where you can press the buttons and see where you can hear, and it'll show the typical age range where people can typically hear that. And I was heartbroken to find where I was at on that.
where are you at?
I forget, but it was like, uh, I thought it was broken. I was pressing the two buttons below and I'm like, it's not working. It's just not working. And then my daughter put the headset on and I pressed the button. She's like, well, I hear it just fine. And I put it back on and pressed it, nothing. And I'm like, son of a bitch.
Oh no, you can't hear. What a shame.
So, but
I
nobody
used to do
likes to
those
hear that,
tests.
like, well, pun intended. Nobody likes to hear that they can't hear as well, like, because it's
I know.
one less, like,
Exactly.
sense that we
Decibel,
have.
whatever.
Yeah.
And so it's like, I don't want to be missing out. FOMO, I can't hear that.
Right. Yep.
Right.
But yeah, so with these binaural beats, I don't know. I feel like a lot of them have assumptions. People have assumptions where it's like, oh yeah, water is relaxing. So I'm gonna have all these trippy sounds, but then I'm gonna have dripping water in the background. And for me, that's a trigger. Like if I hear tinkling, dripping water, in like anything like that, or like the sound of like lapping water, oh hell no, my anxiety's up and I'm like, turn it off, it's not working.
Or it makes you want to have to go to the bathroom, right?
For you, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I think people jump on these fads and the sort of like health conscious self care, and then you look up something like this, which I'd never seen before, and there's like a billion different therapeutic, meditative, do this to sleep better, do this to study better. Like, we all just want that sort of edge. And then who the hell's making this video? Probably not a PhD person. Probably somebody who wants to try to make a quick buck on YouTube, jumping on a fad. And so they put in all this stuff, but really they're just making Ashley more anxious, having the opposite effect.
Hey, I don't know. I'm never going to pretend in all the years that we have done 3Haunted podcasts, I'm never going to pretend that I know anything about anything. I just open my mouth.
Yeah.
I love it. I love it. I love this conversation. This is so much fun. Like, I think just there's so much that I didn't know about coming into this, and I think just that there's so many avenues for exploration for those that are interested into the paranormal and everything, that they can create new things. It's not just these old campfire stories anymore, even though that's kind of what we base this on, right? It's more, and I think that's the scary thing, but also the excited thing, and I think that's why creepypasta keeps going, right? Because there's this new generation of these things, and it's gonna create new content that I think people are gonna attach to, and then there'll be new urban legends, and I think that's where kind of it starts, and then it just blooms from there with all the people that attach themselves to it.
Yeah, well, people like you who say, I want to go into VR and try that idea out, then you do it.
Why not?
Exactly.
I mean, just
You are
have
a
a couple
pioneer,
mushrooms,
BJ. You are a pioneer.
put on the
First.
VR set, play some music, fall asleep, see where it takes you.
But see, if you do the mushrooms, though, you won't be able to tell what is actually doing what it's supposed to be doing.
I think it's like that one guest we talked to that said you've got tradition and you've got innovation. And when it comes to urban legends and creepypasta, for better or worse, that is the innovation. That is, we've got your traditional urban legends that we all kind of heard about, some variation of it. And now you've got the ability to innovate new ones and share it. And whatever picks up. And whatever catches on and gets spread and goes viral, so be it. It spoke to those people for a reason, right?
Absolutely. It all started with somebody out on a playground.
At a
And
crossroads.
bada boom,
Or-
here it is now.
Or
Did it go viral
Or-
for a specific reason and to suit someone's nefarious intentions? Because
Absolutely.
are we all not at the whim of the algorithms and these audience sharing metrics, and who really controls your distribution? You put out a podcast,
AI.
but who is it that gets in the way of all the people maybe being notified about it or listening to it? So it's like, does anything go viral naturally? Or is it a secret plot from the government to implant ideas into our brains and send us down rabbit holes and maybe stab our friends?
Quit talking like that. You're going to get us suppressed in the algorithm. Look at here, wizard behind the curtain.
I can
Please
show you
boost
the
us.
world.
Boost our algorithm.
Boost our attitudes. Boost our everything.
Pray to the algorithm gods for good juju.
I will not sell my
Oh,
soul.
algorithm.
That is not the deal I'm making.
I might. I got nothing
Yeah.
else left. Let's go. I can show you the world. Just joking.
Just take your pants off and the likes,
I'm on an
they
Aladdin
they
kick,
just
I
come
don't know.
in.
How many did you get from that?
Not very many.
Yeah, curious. Because if you got
Not very
I was gonna say, if you got
Actually,
a lot,
on
I'll do it
YouTube,
too.
it was my most popular. It looked like it was going to be my most popular YouTube video ever. And then it just hit a brick wall after like 24 hours, which
Ugh.
got me thinking,
That had to hurt.
these mysterious forces, they don't want my unclothed body out there. They just can't handle
Not
it.
after 24 hours.
I know. Like, what's that about?
Like 24
So-
hours
Did
is
you
all
put
right.
it on X?
No.
You might have gotten more traction there. Everything's naughty on there now.
I'm really not going down that
Right.
direction. I just
'Cause
happened
X.
to not have my pants on. I had underwear on. And so I was just being real. I was like, I'm in my office doing some work. I've been editing a long time. I don't have my pants on. I'm going to shoot this anyways because I need to get this video out. I get them out
I
every
don't have my
Friday.
pants on.
Yeah.
Except it wasn't inadvertent because your like thumbnail that you chose to be your cover is you with no pants on and an emoji over your crotch.
That was, yes. After the fact, you go
You gotta
take
go
a
with what
screenshot.
works.
You do the marketing. You you work with your assets. But
So, which one of
Pass.
you is going to be the thumbnail cover for this episode with the emoji over their crotch?
John,
I'll do it.
John,
Just hide my belly.
John's like, please. Or like with the candy
Yeah.
cane, right? You just
Best abroad.
Yes, I volunteer as tribute with my candy cane. My festive rod.
And this has gone off the rails.
and Bodhi, you have a book, is that correct?
Oh my God, yeah. Like, Bodhi, tell us about Northport.
Yeah, Northport 1999 is the first novel in my horror series. I'm trying something unconventional. Right now, it's all being distributed on Patreon, which is patreon.com/Bodhi the Movie Maker. Yeah, so I wrote a horror novel. I actually just finished the second one. It was supported by the National Endowment for the Arts. So I got a grant to complete the second novel.
Congrats, man. That's
Yeah.
big time.
Thank you. Yeah, it's sort of celebrates all the spooky stuff I love. Twin Peaks, X-Files. I'm a very sci-fi guy, so I wanted all the monsters and strange stuff that happens in my story world to ultimately have some sort of scientific explanation that we discover, through the mystery. The main characters uncovering the mystery of their friend's death. And while I was writing this, I went down a lot of these creepypasta rabbit holes just by doing some of the research about espionage and monsters, and I found a lot of the things we talked about tonight. I've seen recently in the past. So if you're into spooky stuff, liminal spaces, these strange monsters from the creepypasta worlds, you might find a safe place in Northport, the fictional town where my story is set, which is based on Duluth, Minnesota, which because of this liminal space short film that I made recently, I joined a lot of forums where people celebrate everything liminal. And it turns out that Minnesota is like this very liminal place. So all these people from around the world are posting photos of Minnesota, these snowy fields or strange abandoned buildings, or just the Duluth city skyline where I live, which is the setting for my novel. I chose to reimagine it and call it Northport. So if you want to read it, it's on my Patreon. And Ashley was awesome enough to be a test reader, and she really helped me out. And so if you're into scary stuff, and I put the short film that I made in Unreal Engine based on the novel there, and we're making multiple more. So go check it out.
How long is your short film?
That one is like 2 minutes. And I also got another grant from the Regional Arts Council to extend that to 6 minutes. So we're making the next one in Unreal Engine based on the short film. And it features one of the main characters, Sheriff Constance Blackwood, looking for a lost hiker in the woods on the outskirts of town when she comes in close proximity of the monster in the story, who is now known by his moniker, the Face Eater.
Ooh.
Yes.
So you are making more content on YouTube these days with your liminal spaces and the creative stuff you're doing in that realm. Where can people find those videos?
Yeah, my YouTube channel is Bodhi the Movie Maker. Bodhi spelled Bodhi. And just cranking away on YouTube, 16 weeks in a row putting out weekly videos, and it's fun, and it's great to have 800 and something subscribers, and it's hilarious putting out so much effort and failing publicly for so long, and eventually maybe succeeding. We'll see. My fingers are crossed.
You might even, find him pantsless in a few videos. So
So if that's not enticing enough for you people, then I don't know what to tell you. But get over there and watch his stuff, damn it.
and then how about he just makes really great content? That's also a winner.
Oh,
So.
shucks.
Yeah.
Well, I'm on this podcast, so I must be doing something right.
Aw, look at it. Just like hugs all
Aw.
around. All
Right?
right,
Love
guys, do
it.
we have any final thoughts?
I'm just very excited to check out more of your stuff, like the liminal spaces, all of that stuff. It's very intriguing for me, and I think a lot of people that don't know about it, I think it's a rabbit hole worth jumping into because there's endless. It sounds like there's endless stories and there's endless people on there. Like there's so many people that are into it that you'll have company on that journey, and I'm here for it.
That's awesome, man. Well, welcome to the party. Definitely dive in. I loved hearing all your great questions, BJ, and I love all you guys. It's been a lot of fun being on the podcast again.
We missed you, Bodhi.
Ditto, kiddo.
All right, John Thomas, you want to wrap it up? You want to bring us home?
Let's bring us home. Thank you again, Bodhi. Always a pleasure. Can't wait to have you on again and again and
Pleasure's
again.
all mine, John.
Naughty, naughty, candy cane. Best abroad.
Naughty, naughty. Thank you to all of our listeners for listening to this episode of 3Haunted Podcast with your host. I'm John Thomas.
I am Ashley Lunar Goddess.
And I'm BJ Segura.
And if you have any questions, comments, or episode suggestions, please feel free to email us at 3hauntedpodcast@gmail.com. And if you haven't done so already, please like, follow, and subscribe to all of our social media. You don't want to miss amazing returning special people like Bodhi.
Hell yeah.
Until next time. Are you looking for more awesome podcasts? Head on over to withoutyourhead.com for access to the Without Your Head podcast network, where you'll find a variety of podcasts sure to keep you entertained and coming back for more.